who here deals in media system integration, not necessarily as an integrator, but in-house, like integrating different systems within a digital media supply chain? 3 whole people. Who else is just hiding from the crowd at lunch? Yes. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about qibb, which helps our clients democratize workflow building through automating your system, your media systems. Scott, General Manager. Victor over here, he leads our solutions practice. We're based down in LA. Happy to be up here to talk a little bit about qibb. We also we're happy to pay the lowest level sponsorship to get ourselves 2 seats at the conference and get out of town for a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, spend the money on clothes too. So, yes. qibb. So, qibb, in our minds, is the one tool our clients need to integrate, automate, and scale their systems integration specifically for media, and doing so in a single low-code platform. Low-code, think about it, haven't heard the term before, you never heard anybody say high code, but full stack software development, and then you have kind of visual frameworks like drag and drop capabilities. We sit kind of in the middle, low code. So you don't have to be a full stack developer, but you have to have some technical capabilities because the systems you're integrating are a bit more complicated than some off-the-shelf applications. And the problems that we're trying to solve, it's like my car key. The problems we're trying to solve, we know, and the reason why there are conferences like this, media has exploded. The volume of assets has grown exponentially. A good proxy for that is the media asset management industry, growing about 15% a year. It's going to, by the end of the decade, up to close to $4 billion. And again, that's a proxy for how the high volume of media, and that ends up creating 3 major problems. Just managing all of that volume is hard across large organizations. Then you end up with all of these assets. You're going to need to do things with them. You're going to have to process them. If that's metadata, tagging, transcription, any AI services, you're going to end up with lots of bespoke and also lots of best-of-breed systems that you're going to need to cobble together in ecosystems. And lastly, once you have that ecosystem, you're going to need to monitor it, make sure you're getting the most out of your platform. And if you don't do any of these things, if you're mismanaging it, you're going to end up with operational leak, revenue leak. You're going to end up with poorly managed systems. And what does that do? One, it ends up draining your resources. You end up with lots of manual tasks, and you have to solve those manual tasks, often with software development, and that software development costs lots of money. Once you develop these big systems, I guess anybody here developed kind of IT middleware before that's probably still sitting somewhere on a server running for like 15 years? Come on, Netflix guys, you're not supposed to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I have, for big broadcasters, that's probably someone's pain in the ass, or someone else is still dealing with it. And what happens there, those rigid systems, they end up kind of stymieing your innovation, right? You're not able to switch. You see cool new technologies at conferences like this, and you want to use them to grow your business, but you can't because your systems are going to cost too much to spend. And then lastly, you end up with a lot of dependency on vendors. And the reason why you end up with dependency there is because you rely on them to create the features and the capabilities and the automations you need, and you're putting your roadmap and your priorities in their hands, right? So it introduces a lot of risk. And to solve for this, you end up with 4 main ways to solve for these integration and automation challenges. One, like I just said, software development, it's expensive. It takes highly skilled resources, long end development timelines, and you end up with rigid systems, even though they may be super bespoke for your business needs at the time. You can end up with vendor-owned ecosystems. These are great for managing and orchestrating content within a specific vendor, right? So if you have a bunch of services and one of those services owns your orchestration ecosystem, you're locked into that vendor. They're also not focused on automation and integration tools. They're not going to have a huge set of integrations for you because, again, they're focusing on their core competencies. You have the no-code platforms. They're great, but they're one-dimensional, and they're not going to give complexity to the media industry that you're going to need to manage critical media supply chains. And lastly, you have generic iPaaS platforms, thinking companies like Zapier, which are fantastic, billion-dollar companies, but they don't focus in media specifically, right? They don't have the media expertise or the systems expertise that media companies need. You probably see where I'm going with this. There's some purple space in the middle, and we try to solve that with qibb. And qibb is a integration platform focused exclusively on media automation. We have 130 pre-built nodes. Nodes are our integrations, and these companies are the ones you see here. There's half a dozen of the sponsors are already integrated in our platform. You go to big conferences like NAB, and the show floor looks like our catalog. And lastly, we use a low-code framework to be able to democratize flow building so that you do not have to rely on full-stack software development in order to execute on your automation needs. So what is the platform itself? Three product pillars. One is our catalog that I talked about. This is where we house all of our integrations. The next one is our low-code flow editor, where you take those integrations and you create automations. And lastly is our dashboarding system to take all of those automations you've built and then be able to visualize those workflows across your portfolio. And all this sits on top of a ISO-compliant, scalable software or platform as a service architecture built for broadcasters, built for news organizations, built for studios. And kind of diving into the products themselves, this is what a catalog looks like. Here's an animation showing you diving into looking for a MAM system, in particular Mimir, which is a cloud-based MAM system. And this shows you what the catalog looks like, what it means to be in the catalog. And it basically indexes all of the API operations that you're able to use by plugging and playing with the qibb system. And we have, like I said, we have well over 100 spanning everything you would possibly need from your digital media supply chain: archiving, generative AI, publishing, storage, you name it. And in addition, like I said before, we've all built middleware systems. Large companies always have, homegrown systems, and you're able to build your own integrations so that you don't have to rely on us building those, and then you can reuse those, repurpose them across your portfolio. Lastly, here, if you're missing a node, right, you go to our catalog. Oh, they don't have whatever editing system, I can't use it. We can add new integrations as quickly as a few days, sometimes a few weeks if we need to test. And we do it for free. So if you come to us and say, hey, we want to use your system, but you don't have this archive, we'll add it as long as it fits into the kind of media landscape that we're trying to target those on. And lastly, as we build, as Victor over there in the corner builds for our clients or builds for himself for testing, we publish these workflows. So we have templated workflows across our entire portfolio that you can click, drag, drop, add your credentials, and you have an automation that you can build upon afterwards. So the low-code flow editor. This here is a sped-up animation of creating a summarization and translation workflow with qibb. We take that Mimir node that I showed you earlier, and here we're showing you what it means to configure versus develop an API by dropping in, selecting your operation, dropping in the required parameters, and that's as simple as it is to create an integration that could have taken weeks with traditional software development. Once you configure that endpoint, you can drag in one of our templates. Here is a transcription and summarization template, and you connect the two, add your credentials, and you have a fully baked workflow that could have taken months in some cases. That took, obviously this is spun up, taken a day or two. This low-code flow editor, it is based on JavaScript, so JavaScript is actually optional. That's why we consider it low-code. So a lot of our customers have really complex metadata mapping that they need to do, different operations that they'll need to do, and they can use JavaScript within the platform. Oftentimes not terribly complicated. Many times they're not necessarily developers. They could just use ChatGPT or any other generative AI coding tool to be able to help build these functions. And it's all based on JavaScript. It's actually a open source JavaScript framework that IBM had open sourced years back, specifically built for systems integration. And that means two things for us. One, it comes with a global user base. So there are thousands upon thousands of users out there who can jump into qibb immediately and begin using it right out of the box. Two, in addition to the 130 nodes that we built that are media specific, you have access to 2,000, I think it's up to 5,000 now, community-based nodes for things that we may not want to focus on as a media company, things like Google Sheets, Snowflake, queuing mechanisms in AWS. You can literally do anything software does within the platform by tapping into that network. Lastly, we have advanced tools like building your own endpoints for systems integration, so you can kick these workflows off in an automated way. We have secret management to keep your API keys secure. And lastly, this can be deployed using our multi-tenant cloud offering. We can deploy into private clouds for customers. You can even deploy our workflows on-premise or in a hybrid environment to meet the needs of our customers, especially big studios. They're going to have mezzanine content on air-gapped servers somewhere. They don't want these available to the public internet, and we can solve for that and still be able to build these software integrations. And lastly, the last tool that we're talking about is our dashboarding tool. And the dashboarding tool uses pre-built widgets or your own code to visualize the data flowing through the workflows you build on qibb. You can do a number of different things with this. You can aggregate processing statistics if you're building a digital media supply chain for asset management. Right here, you'll see this animation is a cost dashboard. So you have all of your systems integrated within qibb. You want to visualize the operational aspect or the costs. You can do that really simply here as well. Even create landing pages for third parties to contribute content to your digital media supply chain. Or we have some use cases for creating live event dashboards, actually inserting study triggers, using a qibb dashboard in real time for live events. We also have debugging tools, monitoring tools right out of the gate to make sure that everything is functional as you expect. Oh, 3 minutes left. Do I get extra time since Ryan left? Did he ended early? No? Okay. So what do customers get out of this? At the end of the day, it's about value for the software that you acquire. One, it helps enable innovation that pays for it with that return on investment. It could be as easy as one use case that pays for your entire license. You're able to build a culture of automation by being able to automate yourselves and then easily add new technology to expand your business without having to worry about barriers to entry. You're able to reduce cost over other software development projects that would normally take months and years. You could do it in weeks, saving your teams a tremendous amount of money. We have partners, systems integrators who use this system, have reported building up to 10 times faster than traditional methods. And lastly, you get to own the ecosystem. Reduce reliance on third-party software development, reduce reliance on your automations and integrations being fielded by your vendors and not having to wait for them to execute on your priorities. So I was going to show a video. I'm running out on time. This is going to be a use case, so I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions with the remaining 2.5 minutes. None.
What time the company?
qibb, not qibb. qibb. It's like 3 minutes. Okay, so we're going to see a video really quickly. It's going to show a 3-step process for automating content. We have a customer who is taking content from their tape archive, putting it into their digital archive, and they had a 3-step process. They want to automate that for every asset that came into the system. So we built this workflow. I'm going to skip the animation here and go straight to the video. And when you're going to see this video, every system that's part of the video can be swapped out.
Ensuring that each of your media assets meets quality standards, has accurate subtitles, and is enriched with meaningful metadata can be a complex and time-consuming process. But what if you could automate all of these tasks in one seamless workflow? Today, we will walk you through how qibb can be used to automate 3 key tasks: quality control, subtitle creation, and AI metadata enrichment on a media asset, all in one smooth and continuous flow. On the left, you can see our mom system, where we have a sports video asset. We will set this asset for quality control, subtitle creation, and metadata enrichment. On the right, you can see the workflows that operate behind the scenes. The process begins with a custom action button in the MAM system, which initiates the processing of the asset. qibb fetches a copy of the file and first prepares it for the quality check. This ensures that the media file meets the required quality standards before any further processing. Once the quality control check is complete, the user receives a Slack notification with a link to review the asset. You can see the QC status changes to completed and passed. The QC report can be downloaded and reviewed. qibb then automatically moves on to the next step: subtitle creation. qibb uploads the media file to AWS transcription service to generate subtitles for the asset. Once the subtitles are generated, another Slack notification is sent for the user to review the subtitles. Let's open this asset and review the subtitles. You can see the subtitles have been generated. With the subtitles added, the asset is now ready for the final step, metadata enrichment. Qibb uses AWS recognition to analyze the content of the media file and generate useful tags. These tags help categorize the asset, making it easier to search and use. This metadata is then added to the media asset in Iconic, and another Slack notification is sent. You can see that the metadata tags have been added, completing the quality control, subtitle creation, and metadata enrichment process. By automating quality control.
All right, so that's it. Thank you very much. You can scan the QR code for the presentation if you want it. And I'm here all day, folks, if any questions. Thanks.